What's up, everyone? How you doing? It's John. In this video, I'll be reviewing and talking more about the Switch 2. I'll be diving into, taking a closer look at the console itself, showing you some gameplay, explain to you a little bit what's new with the Switch 2 opposed to the Switch 1. And I also want to share my thoughts and an honest opinion on the Switch 2. I know I'm going to disappoint people because I know there's a lot of Nintendo fanboys out there. I'm a huge Nintendo fan, believe me. So it hurts me saying this, but this is the least innovative console Nintendo has ever released. It's the laziest console that Nintendo's ever released, and I'll explain what I mean by that later in the video. And it's probably one of the most disappointed consoles that I can recall playing for Nintendo. And I own a Virtual Boy, I own a Nintendo Wii U, and so there's been some consoles out there that have kind of been some duds for Nintendo. I own a Nintendo 64 disc drive, for example. But I think don't get me all wrong, there are some really good things about the Switch 2. So I do want to dive into talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. So without any further ado, let's take a dive into it and take a closer look. Thanks, guys. Okay, before I show you what comes included, I want to show you the box just briefly real quick. Nothing special, to be honest. It's more square than rectangular, but packed very similar to the original Switch 1. The only difference here is it has the sticker here, and it came with a key. Did not come with a physical copy of Mario Kart World, which was super disappointing in my book. But what you get with it is a couple things. Obviously, you get the Switch 2 unit. You get the power cord. Nintendo will say that the power cord will only work docked with this particular power cord because the voltage, whatever. So be careful there. It is USB-C. Okay, I have noticed that charging the Switch 2 with just any standard USB-C cable will work as far as the handheld itself goes, which is nice. It takes, maybe like up to an hour or so to really get the full charge out of it. So it's not like a super quick charge, but it's about an hour and a half. Battery life on this thing is about 2 to 6 hours of battery just playing mobilely. You get the deck itself, the dock itself. I'll show you what that looks like in a second, but there's a couple other things I want to share with you. You also get, I've never used these even for the Switch 1, is these wrist holder straps for the Joy-Cons. These are a little bit different than the ones on the Switch 1, but I've never used those. Do you guys use those at all? I certainly never used it before. Another thing I've never used, it comes with a HDMI cable, which is branded Nintendo, but you can use any standard HDMI cable, which is nice. And then it does come with one of these things as well. Again, I've rarely used this for the Switch 1. Do you guys use that? I don't know. I kind of use it by hand. So that's not necessary. The deck itself is very flimsy, which is disappointing. The back comes off, and doesn't really hook up, so I can see eventually these are going to be misplaced and broken and all that. Same thing as the Switch 1 dock. You have HDMI cable, you have your modem cable there, you have USB-C charge, and it just slips in nicely. This will not work, it's not compatible with the Switch 1 and vice versa, so I can't use the Switch 1 dock on the Switch 2. You also, let's take a closer look at the console itself. One big difference is it has a C button here, so you can actually call people, your friends, and talk to them through the unit, which is nice. So there's a voice chat feature now. These Joy-Cons, there's a back here, you can push them out, and rather than sliding in on the top, there's like a magnet, and they clip in. One thing interesting I found, and I got this at GameStop, they were really hard pressed to buy the warranty. She would not take no for an answer. I told her no. I've never purchased a warranty for any of my games or consoles, never needed it over the years. I don't know, do GameStop employees get commission on those? Because she was very like, are you sure? They're magnets and they might break. I'm like, that's kind of BS. So anyway, I'm kind of curious what you guys take on that. But yeah, they snap in very easy. Joy-Cons they're bigger than your typical Switch 1 Joy-Cons or OLED Joy-Cons. So they'll switch in. You can connect it to 4 at a time. The Pro controller for the Switch 1 is not compatible with the Switch 2. They do have another Pro controller for the Switch 2 that is compatible. I did not end up picking that up. On the back, they did improve the stand, which is nice. So let's show you how that works. And it's stiff, so it's nice. It kind of just stands up like so. And they added a USB-C charge here at the top. So instead, the original one where it's on the bottom is still there for the dock, but now you can charge it playing like this, which is a huge benefit. So I do appreciate that. All the other buttons are pretty much the same. This is where your games cards go into. This is what the Switch 2 game cards look like. They're red. Okay, they call them the game key cards. So essentially what it is now is gone are the days of just plugging in a game and playing it. That's, unfortunately, that's the truth, right? So what I love about the original Switch 1, you can buy a game, you can plug it in, you can play it out of the box, not having to wait for it to, maybe there was like a small update, but other than that, you can play it. What happens here, this key card will now trigger the unit to download it from the cloud. So eventually it's giving you access to download it from the cloud anyway. So you need internet access right off the bat to download the game. So for example, Hitman, it's like a 50 gig game. And let's open this up. You tap in, same menu screen as a Switch. So you can kind of see a common theme here that it's not much different than a Switch. Same menu screen. The nice thing is games will work, transferring the games over. Super easy. I'll explain how that happened later in the video. But yeah, all the menu stuff is the same. One kind of cool thing is if you're part of Nintendo Online, they do have a Nintendo GameCube feature. This is only available on the Switch 2. This is not available if you have a Switch 1, which is kind of lame. I'm sure they could easily make it available. They do have you can purchase the GameCube Switch 2 controller now, which I saw was available to purchase. Right now, there's only 3 games. You have F-Zero GX, both that and European. I'm not quite sure what the 2 differences are. Zelda Wind Waker for the GameCube, both European and North American. Again, not sure the differences. Soul Calibur as well. So they're going to release some additional GameCube games eventually. You can play online with friends. I do wish that they release a new F-Zero game. It's been a minute since GX came out. And it was when Sega and Nintendo worked together on this. It's kind of, a lot of people don't realize that. It's kind of cool. And this is really fun. I love the series. I'd love to see a new F-Zero game. But it plays really well. It loads really quick. Let's turn the volume up. This is your volume controls here, by the way. Your power off here. This is your, you can plug in your headphones jack here. Speakers are on the very bottom here. And I've seen what that was. It's actually nothing. And your micro SD card does go in here. It does require a micro EX card. So 256 gigs of internal memory, but if you want more memory, you got to purchase the more expensive EX micro SD cards, not your standard one, not compatible there. So that's kind of disappointing. Those can go up to 2 terabytes, so you can actually extend it quite a bit in storage space. But yeah, this plays great. I mean, let's go back home. Let's check out Mario World. I downloaded it. So when I bought this game out of the box, had it updated. It took about an hour to update, which is annoying. And then I had to download the key for Mario Kart. It took about another hour to download that. To download Hitman, it took me 2.5 to 3 hours to download that. And what it left me at the end of the day, let me show you. Let's go back to, where is that? Data management. I have 126 gigs left of space. So even though I have like basically a handful of games, some of my games transferred and taken some space back, like half my data is already gone that I have available storage. So I'm eventually going to get a microSD EX card, which is a bummer unless I want to delete some space. So let's check out Mario Kart World. This isn't going to be a review over the game itself. Put my profile. The biggest differences I've noticed with Mario Kart World is there's a lot of characters, which is great. Not as many as the mobile version. Mobile version has an enormous amount of characters on it. But what's different is you have, let's go single player. You can play online. I've had issues getting connected online the last couple of days. I just got this 2 days ago, but I have not been able to connect online. Let's see if I'm able to now. I don't know if it's a server issue. But you can get characters, like unlock these bags in the race and get different characters. There are a bunch I have not unlocked yet. Like this one's a Vacation Mario, Sightseeing. Get motorcycle, it's kind of cool. So while you wait to join, you can kind of roam and drive around. Occasionally this is where you get like the bags. I noticed a lot of courses have like these cars in them, which is kind of annoying. I know that's nothing new to Nintendo, of course, having cars in the game, but there's a lot of courses. And what I've noticed is the cups, it's one continuous course. So you can go like a marathon route. Let me see what happens here. I run into them. All right. Here's a bag. Let's see what happens. Hamburger, what happens? I'm going to change costumes here, unlock a different Mario. See, that's cool. So that's kind of the goal. That's how you kind of one way to unlock it. I collect coins. You can get use coins and get more Mario. I got 700 coins so far, and you can get different cars doing that. It looks good. I mean, graphically, it's maybe slightly better than the Mario Kart 8, but nothing noticeably. I mean, even Double Dash. I mean, Double Dash, I think, is one of my. I know for sure it's my favorite Mario Kart game, but it doesn't look totally off from this. The aspect ratio is obviously a little bit different. So you're still trying to connect, so sit tight, and eventually it'll just like not connect at all. You can also glide on the water. No more going underwater. You transform into a boat, so that's kind of fun. Almost like a wave race in some ways. So I am able to connect. The last couple of days, I've not, like last night I was trying to connect, the servers were not connecting, so I'm actually able to connect on this, which is really cool. So now I'm playing online. You can race against 24 players now too, which is different. Huge improvement there. And it's a rolling start. Notice a rolling start. I missed the boost. The levels are fun. Here you go, transform into a boat. A couple new weapons. There is a golden turtle shell now, and they get coins. We get 20 coins, go slightly a bit faster, slightly faster. Get the airstream there. There's a forced battle mode and other modes as well. The courses are more linear. There's a lot less curves, so a lot less opportunity to do boostings is what I've noticed. Let's check out Hitman and see what it looks like. Again, it took me about 2.5 hours to download this once I was able to download it. I wanted to get this game because recently I run a game event in Phoenix called Game On Expo, and two of the guests we had was Jane Perry, who is Diana Birdwood in this, as well as Dave Bateson, and he is Agent 47. So I got to know them both really well on a personal level, and super excited, really nice guys, so I'm really excited to pick this up. I never really played much of the Hitman game series, but this is... got to sign in. Okay, give me a second to do that. It's funny, Dave Bateson, actually the actor who voices him, they modeled the character after him, Agent 47, so actually it looks like the guy. It's kind of cool. We posted a panel on our Game On Expo YouTube channel on it as well. Super nice people, and they sound just like the characters.
As previous tests have established, you exhibit an unusual level of condescension. Oh no, buddy, you're not coming through here. Sorry.
Okay, so I gotta get changed, but anyway, yeah, different targets and stuff. Yeah, it plays pretty well. Okay, so before I share my final thoughts and conclusion of the Switch 2, I do want to just show you a size comparison. So on the very top is the Switch OLED. Here's the Switch 2. This is a $100 price difference between the two models. You can see that the Switch 2 is much bigger in size. It's got more weight to it, obviously, as well. And screen size. So this is a 7.9-inch screen. Really nice looking screen for the Switch 2. LCD screen. OLED's got the OLED screen, 7-inch OLED screen. So even though the screen is bigger, the OLED's got a brighter color. I feel like Nintendo took a step back, and that's disappointing, to be honest. But the original Switch 1 has a 6.2-inch screen, so it's even smaller, and the Switch Lite has a 5.5-inch screen. So biggest screen for sure on the Switch 2. Now we're going to compare it to my Steam Deck. This is the 1 terabyte version Steam Deck. 7-inch screen, so still not quite as big as the Switch 2. Frame rate, I believe, is 90 frames per second on this, so this is 120, so it's got a better frame rate. Price-wise, you can get different models. This model is $650, I believe, for the upper tier model, and I believe it's worth it because you get the case, you get a lot of other things, perks as well, and I love my Steam Deck. Similar to the Switch, you can dock it, play it on your TV at home as well, or wherever you're at. And the last system I want to compare it with is my ROG Ally. And I love my ROG. This is again a 7-inch screen. This does have 120 frames per second, a 1080p screen. It is $650 for the base model. It can go up to over $1,000 or more. So this is definitely like literally a portable PC, and you can stream to the cloud, and really powerful unit. My only issue, this is the first model that I've noticed, is when you're putting in, it does get very warm, and if you put in an SD card, they can overheat your SD card. I know they fixed it on the Model 2 and subsequent models, but that was the only issue with this model that I had. But I love my ROG Ally, super nice. So kind of different size comparisons. You can see different prices. For sure, the biggest screen is on the Switch 2. Now I'm going to share my conclusion. We talked about the good. Let's focus on the good. The good thing, I really like the fact that it still takes physical games. I appreciate that Nintendo is trying to keep that alive. I think eventually consoles will get rid of physical games. We all know that's eventually going to happen. I know several generations ago, in console generations, we were even talking about this 10 years ago, that eventually physical games are going to go away. So I love that Nintendo is still breathing new life into these physical games, even though they require these game key card things that I'm not a huge fan of. And it's essentially just a key to download the game from the cloud anyway. It's still better than nothing, so I'll take that. So that is a win for Nintendo, so good job, Nintendo. I also like the fact that they updated the plugin. They added a USB-C plug-in port in the top. My original review of the Switch, I talked about how it was kind of lame when it was on the bottom, because when you're playing it on mobile mode and you're standing it up, you can't plug it in on the bottom because, where you're going to put it, right? So that they did fix that, so there's some big improvements. I think it feels good. It's got some good weight to it. The games that we all know, Nintendo's first-party games anyway, are stellar. No one plays Nintendo games for graphic reasons. Let's just be honest. Nintendo's never been really the leader when it comes to frame rate or to graphics or sound or anything like that. Where Nintendo's niches and where they really excel at is their gameplay. They have awesome IPs, obviously Zelda, Metroid, Mario, even Pokemon. I mean, there are some great IPs that they have that are phenomenal, and people will buy those games and eat them up, and for good reason. So I think this game, as long as they continue putting good games into the handheld, the Switch 2, the system will do okay. Is it going to sell as well as the Switch 1 was selling over 150 million units? I don't know. So those are some really good things about it. Now, as far as things that I think Nintendo could have improved on, definitely the screen. I am disappointed that it's an LCD. They took a step back. The OLED screen makes a world of difference in terms of brightness and the darks are darker. And I think they obviously maybe did it for budget cut reasons. People will complain about the price. Now, the unit itself, for the just without the bundle, is $450, and then with the game itself is $500. So it's a little pricey. It does come with Mario Kart World, as many of you guys know. And I was disappointed, to be honest, because when I purchased the bundle with the Mario Kart World, I was excited to get it. Come to find out, and this is my fault for not doing any more research than I should have, I thought, for some reason, I assumed it was going to come with a physical copy of Mario Kart World, and it did not. It came with a key that you just download. And I would have preferred, if I had a time machine, to go back and purchase the non-bundle, the system itself, pay $450 for it, and then pay the $70, even though there's a $20 or $30 extra difference for the physical game of Mario Kart World. I would have preferred doing that, because when you have the physical copy, you own the game itself, you can trade it in, you can loan it to a friend, you can do a lot more things with it. You actually own it 100% opposed to digital. So I'm disappointed that it was a key. That's a disappointment. But yeah, going back to the screen, big disappointment. I'm assuming eventually knowing Nintendo, what they'll do is they're first going to release, right now it's only available in black, they're going to release various color variations, we all know this. They're eventually going to release an OLED version, I'm sure, maybe a couple years down the road. They're going to do probably a light version as well. They're going to milk this as much as possible. Another thing, huge disappointment, is you can't go online with this. There's no browser. Now, I know there's been workarounds with the Switch 1, and people have been able to go online and on the browser with the Switch 1, but it's a workaround people have to figure out. But out of the box, you can't do it. And that's a big letdown. You can't watch YouTube videos on this thing. You can't turn this into a full entertainment system. It's mainly just for Switch. I'm not quite sure why Nintendo did that or decided to do that. I thought this was an awesome opportunity. I felt this was an awesome opportunity for Nintendo to do that. And it's the same. The other thing that's disappointing, it's the same format. It's a Switch. The layout's the same, all that. Now, going back to the good, I almost forgot to mention, this is a big one. I love the fact that it's backwards compatible. You can play Switch 1 games, so it's basically 2 consoles in one. And I like the fact that most, I say most, because about 95% or so, of the games on the eShop work. There's I think I heard somewhere like 15,000 games on the eShop. And so you have access to all the games that you purchased for your original Switch 1. You can transfer over. And by the way, one thing I appreciated was transferring the data over was super easy. So essentially what you had to do, you had to keep it plugged in. You have your original Switch. You log in on your phone. There's a QR code. You scan it on your phone. You log into your Nintendo account, and you follow the prompts. And it will just wireless, like through Bluetooth or whatever it does, it connects, and it links your account. So it'll download all the games you have previously, your save files. That's a huge, it was super, super easy. Just follow the prompts. So I do appreciate that. So the fact that you can play eShop games on this was great. I'm a game developer. I release, as I mentioned earlier in this video, City Hunter and the Cursed Lion for the eShop. As a developer, I don't have to go through and update it at all to play on the Switch 2. It's automatically out of the box. It's playable, which is super easy for developers, super easy for people who are already on the game. So kudos to Nintendo for going backwards compatible. I think the last time they did that was for the Wii U to the Wii, and previously before that was from the Wii to the GameCube. They obviously skipped from Switch to Wii U because the Switch can't play Wii U games. But I love the fact that it is backwards compatible and it does play physical Switch games as well. So that's a big plus. So there are some pluses for sure. Battery life I wish was longer. It's gameplay wise, you can get about 2 to 6 hours. I've been getting around 2.5 hours of battery life on this thing. I've noticed when I play this on the dock, and that's another thing too, guys, the dock is super flimsy. As I showed you earlier in the video, the flap here on the back opens up, but it falls off. It's very flimsy, very lightweight, and this thing gets hot. It gets warm when it's on the dock. So I haven't played it for an excessive like hours and hours on the dock, but even though it will play it in 4K, which is nice, I don't have a 4K TV, I'll be honest, right? So that's not super important to me. But if you had a 4K TV, that's cool, and you can play it, and the frame rate's definitely upgraded to 120 frames per second, opposed to 60 frames per second on the Switch. But as a gamer myself, those things, I don't know, to me, it doesn't make a big difference, especially playing Nintendo games. I don't, the frame rate, like, is it worth for me, for example, if I already own one of the Zelda games and play on 60 frames per second to invest another $60, $70 just to play it with a higher frame rate? For me personally, not. And the launch titles are very disappointing. Super Mario Kart World is okay. It's a great choice for a launch game. I love Mario Kart, don't get me wrong. But a lot of the games that are for the launch for the system are reboots that are already on the Switch. So there really is no, if I have a Switch already, or especially an OLED, I love my OLED because the screen's beautiful, battery life is great. I don't know if it's worth the Switch, no pun intended, to go to the Switch 2. Right, I just don't know if that's worth it. Other things that I kind of wish were improved. I wish there were achievements. I wish Nintendo added some type of an achievement system like PlayStation and Xbox has. I love those achievements. Nintendo has not done that yet. I appreciate the fact that they have a voice chat now through the controller, which is great. So they're starting to get there, not quite there yet. So there are definitely some things that are good for the console. Definitely some things that they can definitely improve. Is it worth the investment? I don't know. If you're a diehard Nintendo fan, I think there's going to be people who are going to buy this anyway. Why do I think it's the least innovative console? You're asking yourself, John, why is it so like the least innovative? Why are you being so mean to the console? I'll explain this. Okay, when you take the Super Nintendo, for example, right? When the Super Nintendo came out, they added 4 new buttons. Graphically, it was a huge improvement. If you look at the gameplay for Super Mario World compared to Mario World or Mario 1 or Mario 3, for example, you can tell graphically that it's a huge step up. We look at the N64 when that came out in the mid-90s. Look at that from the Super Nintendo. 3D graphics, they added the controller, first time with the analog stick, huge innovation there. Beautiful console, awesome. Even the GameCube controller. Now, when the GameCube came out initially, I wasn't a huge fan of the controller, to be honest with you. However, I grew to like, I love it, I'll appreciate it over time. And even graphically, the GameCube graphics, like you've played Double Dash, compare it to Mario Kart 64, you can see a huge improvement graphically, and it's noticeable. The Wii, hugely innovative, right? The motion control graphics. Again, Nintendo stepped it up, they added motion control, they were the leader. The Wii U even, though not as innovative, they did add the gamepad, which essentially would evolve into the Switch, but that was still different. It was essentially a Wii with a gamepad, let's be honest. Graphically, it was very, very similar. And then we got the Switch, and the Switch was hugely innovative. They combined both, Nintendo's dominated the handheld market for years, and we all know that, right, with the DS and the 3DS, etc. And they merged those two markets in one console with the Switch, and I think that's why it's been so successful, and they dominated, which is smart. But here we are with the Switch 2. And what innovations do you guys notice that you've seen in this video, or maybe you probably have one, or maybe you've seen one to Switch 2? What differences? What's the big step up evolution-wise for Nintendo? I can't recall. They've added, okay, they've increased the frame rate, which is appreciated. The CPU is better, okay. But other than that, there really isn't anything different than this in a Switch. So again, going back to the question, it begs the question, is it worth the time to go and invest in a Switch 2. My advice, if you haven't purchased a Switch 2 yet, is to wait. Price-wise, people complain about the price being $450 is expensive. When you look at when the original Switch came out, it was like, what, $300 back in 2017. With inflation, I think that's pretty close to like $400 today. It's inflation. I don't know the exact number, but I know there's inflation. We're dealing with tariffs. We're in that world right now in the U.S. with tariffs. So it's not a huge surprise in the sticker number, the price on this. When you look at right now, I think the biggest competitor they have in terms of the handheld market would probably be the Steam Deck. I love my Steam Deck. The Steam base price with the LCD screen is $400 and it kind of goes up to, I think, $650. But it comes with a carrying case. You get an OLED screen, which is awesome. So, now they don't have physical games. The Steam Deck doesn't have physical games. I give Nintendo the props there. But I actually prefer I'll be honest with you, I prefer my Steam Deck over the Switch 2. I just love the games on Steam, and they look really sharp. And the frame rate, I think, is like around 90 frames per second, not as good as 120. But again, I don't play these games. I'm not a huge diehard gamer where it's like going to be a huge difference. Now, I know they're out there, but I believe that the diehard gamers are playing PC, PlayStation 5, maybe Xbox. They're not playing Nintendo games. Well, they might be, but if they want the diehard gaming experience, you're going to be playing on PC. Let's just be honest here, right? So Nintendo is not going to catch up to that. Even the Switch 2 graphically is not, CPU-wise, is not where the PlayStation 5 is. It's not where the Xbox is right now. So, they're not going to win that battle when it comes to performance. Where they're going to win the battle, where Nintendo really should stick to the core, is gameplay and with story and quality of games. And that's something that first party-wise, they've dominated. They're awesome at. Now, the question with the Switch 2 is, where will the third-party games step up? What third-party games? Are they going to be exclusives only to the Switch? We'll see. Time will tell. Now, they got some great games, and there's a new Donkey Kong game coming out. They've got some good lineups coming out, so we'll see. But, I don't know. Graphically, when you look at the Switch 2 graphics, and you play, when you look at that, like Mario Kart World, and you compare it to Double Dash, which is the GameCube, graphically, it's moderately better. Obviously, frame rate's better, brighter colors, etc. But it's not huge difference. It's not like looking at the N64, like the Mario Kart 64, and comparing it to the Super Mario Kart. It's not that drastic difference. I feel like the evolution of graphics for Nintendo has slowed down quite a bit from the GameCube. So we'll see what time will tell for the Switch. In case for those who are curious what games I got for it, I did get the Mario Kart bundle. I did pick up Cyberpunk 2077. I heard frame rate wise, I heard it doesn't not the greatest port, but I haven't played this yet. I was excited to check it out. And I picked up Hitman, obviously, as you saw in my video, and it's a fun game for sure. So let me know what you guys' thoughts are. I'm just a little bit disappointed in Nintendo overall. I kind of wish they played it safe. Do I blame them for playing it safe? Probably not, especially in today's world. But they definitely played it safe. And another negative thing about it too is I'm really disappointed in the storage space. 256 gigs, not very much in today's world. Especially, for example, Hitman, 50-something gig game, as I showed you earlier in the video, is going to take up a ton of your space. So that's a huge thing. You're basically forced to buy a memory card that's an EX, which is a more expensive memory card. It doesn't take your standard micro SD card. Again, very, very disappointed with Nintendo on that. For example, the Steam Deck, you can get up to a terabyte in memory for the Steam Deck. Now, granted, that's the higher version of it. But yeah, you can get up to a terabyte. I think it starts at 256. But and a lot of keep in mind, a lot of the games on the Steam Deck you can play through the cloud and all that, right? Where this Switch 2, you're kind of forced to play on your handheld itself. So we'll see where the system goes. I hope it does well. I think it's going to be a slower launch than Nintendo anticipated, just being perfectly honest with you. We will see. Let me know what you guys think of the Switch 2. Appreciate you guys leaving a comment, subscribing as always. We'll see you guys soon. Take care. And of course, game on.